They stole $10,000 from me 10 years ago to pay his legal fees. Now they need my help to keep him out of jail again. I laughed in their faces. Honey, grab a glass, grab the whole bottle, and sit down because the tea I'm about to spill is scorching hot. We are talking about the kind of family drama that makes Game of Thrones look like a PBS kids show. We have theft, we have betrayal, we have hit and runs, and we have the most satisfying, petty, delicious revenge I have ever seen in my life. You think your family is toxic. Wait until you meet these people. The hook. It was 2 a.m. on a Tuesday when my phone rang. You know that ring? The one that screams emergency because nobody calls at 2 a.m. to chat about the weather. I looked at the screen and saw Mom. My stomach dropped for exactly half a second before I remembered who I was dealing with. I let it go to voicemail. Then it rang again and again. Finally, I picked up, voice thick with sleep, and before I could even say hello, I heard her sobbing. Not sad sobbing, panicked. My world is ending sobbing. He did it again, she wailed. Your brother, he took the car. There was an accident. They're going to arrest him, OP. You have to help us. We need money for the retainer. We need you to fix this. I sat up in bed, the darkness of my room feeling suddenly very cold, and I felt nothing. No panic, no fear, just a cold, hard rage that had been marinating for a decade. I took a deep breath, smiled into the dark, and said, Mom, I think you have the wrong number. I don't have a brother. And I hung up. The backstory. Let me back up and tell you how we got to this point, because you need to understand the level of audacity I've been dealing with. I'm a regular guy. I'm not rich. I don't have some fancy CEO job. And I drive a car that makes a weird rattling noise when I go over 60. I've scraped for everything I have. 10 years ago, my grandfather passed away. He was the only person in this family who actually saw me. He left me a little bit of money, about $10,000. Now, to some people, that's pocket change. To me, that was a down payment on a house. That was a safety net. That was my future. But my parents? They had other ideas. See, I have a brother. Let's call him Kyle. Kyle is the golden child. Kyle can do no wrong, even though Kyle does only wrong. At the time, Kyle had just gotten picked up for his third DUI. He needed a lawyer, a good one, or he was looking at real time. My grandfather's will was written in this vague, crappy way that said funds should be distributed by need. And apparently my need for stability was less important than Kyle's need to stay out of prison for being a danger to society. My parents drained the account. They took my money, money meant for my life, and handed it to a shark of a lawyer to keep Kyle free. When I found out, I went nuclear. I screamed, I cried, I threw the biggest fit of my life. And you know what my mother said to me? She looked me dead in the eye with this condescending pity and said, Family helps family, OP. You should be grateful you aren't in trouble like your brother. He needs this more than you do. I was 22. I felt helpless. I went to a lawyer of my own, paid him $300 to look at the will, and he told me the hard truth. It's going to cost you more in legal fees to fight this than the 10 grand is worth. Walk away, son. So I did. I said, screw it. I moved 2 towns over. I got a boring job in logistics. I put my head down, lived cheap, and started building my own nest egg from scratch. I stopped answering their calls mostly. I showed up for Christmas for about an hour, ate some ham, and left before dessert. I became a ghost in my own family, and honestly, it was peaceful. The escalation. Fast forward to last week. 10 years of peace. 10 years of me minding my own business and stacking my cash. Kyle, meanwhile, hasn't learned a damn thing. My parents, in their infinite wisdom, have continued to enable him. He's 30 something now, still crashing on their couch, still drinking. He lost his license ages ago. But my parents? They coddle him. They bought a new SUV recently, and because Kyle is a liability, they didn't even hide the keys. Well, actually, that's not true. Kyle's car, the one he's not supposed to drive, has a breathalyzer interlock on it. He can't start it if he's drunk. So, being the genius he is, he decided to take my parents' car instead. Here is where it gets spicy. He took their car without permission. He went to a bar. He got hammered. On his way home, he T-boned a sedan at an intersection. Thank God nobody was killed, but the other driver was hurt, and both cars were totaled. And because Kyle is a coward, he didn't stop. He panicked. He drove my parents' smashed-up car 3 miles down the road until the engine seized. Then he ran home on foot, crying to Mommy and Daddy. If you're already shook, hit that like button because I haven't even gotten to the worst part yet. Here is the bind my parents are in. The cops found the car. They traced it to my parents. They came knocking. My parents, trying to protect their precious baby boy, told the cops they didn't know who was driving. But here's the kicker: the insurance company. If my parents admit Kyle took the car without permission, that's theft. Kyle goes to jail for grand theft auto and hit and run and DUI. If they don't admit he stole it, then they are liable. But since they won't tell the insurance company who was driving, the insurance is refusing to pay out a single dime. The people in the other car, they are suing. They want medical bills, they want pain and suffering, they want blood. My parents are looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars in liability, plus a totaled car, plus Kyle needing a criminal defense lawyer again. The climax. So, they called me. They asked to meet. I agreed, mostly out of morbid curiosity. I met them at a diner. They looked 10 years older. My mom's eyes were puffy. My dad looked like he was about to have a stroke. They didn't even ask how I was. They just launched into it. "We need help," my dad said, his voice shaking. "We need money for a lawyer for Kyle, and we need to pay off the other driver to try and settle this out of court so they don't press charges. We know you've been saving. We know you have a nest egg." I stared at them. I took a slow sip of my coffee. The audacity was actually breathtaking. It was like art. "Let me get this straight," I said, keeping my voice scary calm. "You want me to give you the money I have saved? Money I scraped together because you stole my inheritance 10 years ago, to bail out the person you stole that money for?" My mom started crying. "OP, please. 10 years is a long time to hold a grudge. You need to forgive us. He's your brother. If we don't get this money, we lose the house. We lose everything." I looked at them. I really looked at them. And I realized something. I wasn't angry anymore. I was just done. "You know what?" I said, putting my mug down. "You're right. 10 years is a long time. I do forgive you." Their faces lit up with hope. It was pathetic. "I forgive you completely," I continued, my voice getting a little louder, drawing the attention of the booth next to us. "I forgive you for taking the money that Grandpa left me. I forgive you for stealing my stability to pay for his mistakes. I forgive you for always, always choosing him over me. I forgive you for making sure I had to struggle just so he wouldn't have to face a single consequence." I leaned in close. "I forgive you wholeheartedly." My dad let out a sigh of relief. "Thank you, son. So, can you write the check today? The lawyer needs—" I cut him off with a laugh, a dry, humorless laugh. "Oh, I think you misunderstood. I forgive you. But that doesn't mean I'm giving you a single cent." The color drained from their faces. "I forgive you," I said, standing up. "And because I forgive you, I'm going to let you experience the consequences of your own actions for the first time in your lives. You're probably going to lose your house. You're definitely going to lose your retirement. And Kyle? Kyle is going to prison. And honestly, I'm at peace with that." My mom started screaming. "You can't do this. You're family." "I am," I said, throwing a $20 bill on the table for my coffee. "And so is he. Good luck with that." I walked out of that diner, got into my rattling car, and drove away. And I have never felt lighter. The fallout. My phone has been blowing up for 3 days. Aunts, uncles, cousins I haven't spoken to since the Bush administration. Everyone is calling me a monster. They're saying I'm kicking my parents while they're down. They're saying I'm heartless. I finally sent one mass text to the family group chat. "Kyle drove drunk, hit a car, and ran away. Mom and Dad enabled him. If you feel so bad for them, you pay for it. My wallet is closed." Silence. Complete silence. Funny how everyone has an opinion until it costs them money, right? Make sure you're subscribed because the update I'm about to drop is going to make you scream. Update 1. 2 weeks later. You guys aren't going to believe this. I stood my ground. I didn't give them a penny. And guess what happened? The house of cards collapsed. My parents couldn't afford the lawyer in the settlement. The people Kyle hit realized my parents were stonewalling and went straight to the police with dashcam footage from a neighbor's house. It showed Kyle getting out of the car and running. The police arrested Kyle yesterday. He's being charged with felony hit and run, driving with a suspended license, and vehicle theft because my parents still haven't admitted they gave him the keys, so technically he stole it. My parents are now facing charges for aiding and abetting and obstruction of justice because they lied to the officers. Their insurance dropped them instantly. They have put their house on the market to try and cover the legal bills. And me, I'm sitting on my porch drinking a cold beer, watching the sunset. I might not have my grandfather's 10 grand, but I have my freedom and I have my sanity, and that is priceless. Transition. But wait, we aren't done. If you thought that brother was entitled, wait until you meet this husband. This next story comes from a woman who owns a family farm, and her husband seems to think marriage means what's yours is mine to sell. Story 2: The Farm and the Greedy Husband. I am 38, and my family owns a farm. Now don't get excited, this isn't some massive agro business. It's a sentimental, historic plot of land that's been in my family for 4 generations. It barely breaks even, but it's ours. My parents have always said they want it to stay in the family. My husband, Mark, and I were talking about the future the other night. Mark has always been focused on money, not in a let's budget way, but in a how can we get rich quick way. The subject of the farm came up. Mark looked at me, eyes gleaming, and said, "Babe, when your parents kick the bucket, we're going to sell that place, right? We could get, what, 500,000, maybe more if we subdivide it for condos?" I froze. I felt sick. "Mark," I said, "I'm not selling the farm. I want to keep it. I want to pass it down to our kids. It's a legacy." Mark's face changed. It went from excited to cold in a nanosecond. "So," he sneered, "we're never going to get anything to make our lives easier? You'd rather hold on to some dirt than secure our retirement?" "It's not just dirt," I tried to explain. "It's my family's history. If I can't manage it, I'll sell my share to my brother so it stays in the family." That was the wrong thing to say. Mark exploded. He started pacing around the kitchen, shouting, "Oh, I see! You're planning to give it away. You're going to sell it cheap to your brother and cheat us out of our money. You care more about them than you do about me." I was shocked. I asked him, half joking because I was scared, "Did you only marry me for the potential inheritance, Mark?" He went silent. He didn't say no. He just glared at me and said, "How dare you ask me that?" and stormed out. He's been giving me the silent treatment for 3 days. Now my parents are thinking of bypassing me entirely and leaving the farm directly to my children in a trust, just to keep Mark's greedy hands off it. And Mark, he's sensing he's losing control, and he is making my life hell. He mocks me for being tired, he picks fights, and he's constantly bringing up how selfish I am for denying him this windfall. Honey, let me tell you something. When a man gets angry that he can't sell your parents' property before they are even dead, that is not a husband. That is a vulture. Transition. Speaking of vultures, let's talk about mothers who pick favorites. This next one is heartbreaking, and honestly, if this was my mom, I'd have emancipated myself yesterday. Story 3: The Invisible Daughter. I'm 16, and I live with a stranger. That stranger is my mother. See, my mom doesn't want me. She wants her niece, my cousin, Ashley. Ashley is the blonde, athletic, all-American dream girl. I'm the quiet, nerdy kid who likes video games and books, and apparently that makes me unworthy of love. My mom spends 3 hours a day on the phone with Ashley, laughing, gossiping, planning trips. When I try to talk to her, not now. I have a headache. Every single time. But the breaking point, it wasn't the neglect, it was the knee. 3 years ago, I injured my knee badly. I was in agony. I begged my mom to take me to the doctor. I was crying, unable to walk. You know what she said? "Stop being dramatic. You're fine." It took 3 months of begging to get an appointment. By then, the damage was permanent. I have chronic pain now. I will limp for the rest of my life because she couldn't be bothered to hang up the phone with Ashley and take me to the ER. Yesterday, she overheard me telling a friend that I plan to go no contact the second I turn 18. She flew into a rage. "How could you do this to me? After everything I've done for you?" I looked at her and said, "You haven't done anything for me. You're trying to live through Ashley because she's the daughter you actually wanted. I'm just the roommate you ignore. She's now telling the whole family I'm an ungrateful brat. But you know what? I'm counting down the days. 700 days until I'm 18. 700 days until I never have to see her face again. Transition. And finally, a little palate cleanser about a sister who thinks she owns the rights to the word dad. Story 4: The Ghost versus the Dad. My biological dad died when I was a baby. I have zero memories of him. He is a face in a photo, that's it. My mom married Jim when I was 11. Jim is the man who taught me to drive. Jim is the man who bandaged my knees. Jim is my dad. My older sister Jessica remembers our bio dad, and she hates that I love Jim. She constantly tells me I'm betraying our real father. Last week, I posted a picture of Jim and me at a theme park on Instagram with the caption, "Best day ever with dad." Jessica called me screaming. "How dare you? That's disrespectful to our father. You're replacing him. You're a bad daughter." I snapped. I was just done. I shouted back, "Jessica, our bio dad isn't my dad. He's a ghost. I don't remember him. Jim is the one who is here. And if you can't accept that Jim is my father, then maybe you aren't my sister either." She's demanding an apology. But honestly, I think the only person owed an apology is Jim for having to deal with her drama for 10 years. The conclusion. So, what have we learned today, friends? Forgiveness doesn't mean you have to open your wallet. Husbands who view your inheritance as their payday are trash. And if your family is toxic, you are allowed to walk away, lock the door, and change your number. Question of the day. If your brother stole 10K from you, would you pay to keep him out of jail, or would you pack his bag for prison yourself? Let me know in the comments. I'll be reading the messy ones. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay petty. Bye.